I am here today with Joshua Chamberlain, a general in the United States Army. What was your life like before the war?
At what time? Most of my life has been in the absence of my military command.
Start from the beginning.
I grew up on a farm with my 4 younger siblings. My mom, as a strong, faithful woman, raised us well with the help of my father, who was a strict man that taught us how to stand on our own. I had my usual chores and work to do, but not all of life on the farm was hard work. There was also a lot of time for fun. In my free time, I loved to ride my horse through our land in the forest, and I also used to do things like swim and play round ball. I spent a lot of time on the forest, watching the animals and studying nature. One of the jobs that had been done living on the farm was hunting. Although I was a good shot, I never liked the feeling of killing the animals that had always fascinated me. During the summer, we would spend our time at the river sailing our little sloop. We called it lapwing. I always liked to sail, and I always pretended that I was the captain of a warship, like my grandfather. I also spent a lot of time with the Indians when they were around, and I learned their language and many of their legends. When I was getting older, my father wanted me to join a military academy so I could be in the army, while my mother wanted me to go to minister school. Finally, I decided to go with my mother's wishes and go to Bowdoin College to study, but I had a lot of work in order to be accepted.
What was your education like?
When I was young, my parents taught me. When I was older, I attended Whitting's Military and Classical School, but not for too long. My father wanted me to study at West Point, but my mother wanted me to be a minister. Quite a variation in careers. I really didn't want to go into either of the fields, but eventually I conceded to my mother. I went to Bowdoin College and studied chemistry, physics, mathematics, Latin, Greek, Italian, and German. Before I could become a student at Bowdoin, I had to speak both Latin and Greek. I spoke very, very little Latin and absolutely no Greek. My parents hired 2 tutors, and I studied almost constantly until my interviews. I finally got in, and I studied with an emphasis on languages.
Did you have a job before the war started?
Yes, I did, and I actually still do. I was a teacher at Bowdoin College and taught rhetoric, German, and Spanish. I was still one of the junior professors at the school, but I was considered to be on the up and up. I still hold the title, but I am currently taking, a leave of absence.
How do you end up fighting for the Union?
After Bowdoin got wind of the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter, some of my students joined the Army almost immediately. My grandfather had fought in 1812, and my father had been the leader of a small militia. I wrote a letter to the governor of Maine, who knew both my father and grandfather. In the letter, I asked if my service was needed and offered to create a regiment. Almost no one wanted me to go, but I just felt the need to serve.
What were some of your bigger accomplishments during the war?
Well, I'll go from the beginning. At the start of the war, I was a lieutenant for the 20th Maine Infantry. My first battle was in the Maryland Campaign of 1862. The 20th Maine and I were held in the reserve for the Battle of Antietam, but we were at the forefront of the Battle of Fredericksburg. On July 1st, I was a colonel, and I was marching towards Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. During the Battle of Gettysburg, the 20th Maine and I were placed on the extreme left of the Union line on a hill called Little Round Top. During a Confederate attack, we took heavy losses. We were running out of ammo, so I ordered my men to affix bayonets and charge the Confederates. After this battle, I continued to command the remains of the 20th Maine, and was given temporary command of the brigade containing the 20th Maine. After a short leave due to minor illness, I was given command in of a brigade in the 1st Division of the 5th Corps. During the Overland Campaign in 1864, I led my men in a series of battles. At one point, I was pretty seriously wounded and was considered to be on my deathbed. So, while on my deathbed, Grant decided to promote me to Brigadier General. I then recovered, which everyone said was a miracle. And I led my troops at the Battle of Five Forks. During the final campaign to the Appomattox Creek Junction, I was placed in command of the 5th Division, 5th Corps. Soon after the Confederates surrendered, the war was over.
Do you think the Civil War was necessary, and why? Also, what do you think about slavery?
I believe that the Civil War was a necessary and proper thing to happen after the secession of the South. The South says they were fighting for their independence, and I can't quite question their integrity. But what I can question is how a state can say that they have been denied their rights when they deny others theirs. And an entire race of men, no less. I will admit, war is a scourge, but so is slavery. And if I had to give my life for this cause, I would happily do so.
What do you believe the future will hold for you and your country, and how has the Civil War affected this?
We know not of the future and cannot plan for it much, but I believe that our country is still destined for greatness. As the Civil War has done nothing but put a meander in our country's path to greatness. As for myself, I'm going to return to Maine. The things I have missed most about life before the war lay back home in Maine. I really do miss my family, and I can't wait to be able to enjoy the outdoors as I once did. I still have my job at Bowdoin, and I would like to take a leadership role at the college. The war has forever changed my outlook on life, and I don't believe that I will be able to return to a regular life like I had before the war. Who knows? I might even go to politics and help the country recover from the war.